10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Whack Whack Attack. Today is February 9th, and yeah, it's been, like, every day I say, wow, like, it's been busy 24 hours, but, like, I don't even know where to begin. Well, I do know where to begin. I'm going to begin right here. So Jasper yesterday pasted this tweet into Trading by Brian Armstrong, and it gets, like, lots of, like, I'm looking at this kind of emojis, and yeah, that's a good one. Okay. So Brian says, we're hearing rumors that the SEC would like to get rid of crypto staking in the US for retail customers. I hope this is not the case, as I believe it would be a terrible path for the US if that was allowed to happen. So let's go have a look at what Brian says. Brian says staking is really important innovation in crypto. It allows users to participate directly in running open crypto networks. Staking brings many positive improvements to the space, including scalability, increased security, and reduced carbon footprints. Staking is not security. Here's a good primer. And then there's an article, and then he goes on to say, we need to make sure that new technologies are encouraged to grow in the US and not stifled by lack of clear rules when it comes to financial services and Web3. It's a matter of national security that these capabilities be built out in the US. Regulation by enforcement doesn't work. It encourages companies to operate offshore, which is what happened with FTX. Hopefully we can work together to publish clear rules for the industry and come up with sensible solutions that protect customers while preserving innovation and national security interests in the US. Okay, so there's definitely that, like, it's quite strongly worded, like he's trying to rally support because staking is 11% of Coinbase's income. It's a big chunk of their income, and it's a very, very profitable and easy chunk of their income. So this is not good for Coinbase, definitely. So then people in staking start saying things, in trading, start saying things like, I've avoided saying this until now, but F the SEC. The SEC can go F themselves. I won't stop staking. F them. Time to move. They have no authority here. After the SEC failed at protecting anyone from all the centralized stuff, the Ponzi scams, they're now going after retail stakers instead. So let's make it clear what a retail staker, what I think it means in the context of this. I think a retail staker is someone who goes to an exchange like Coinbase and gives them their ETH, and then they give them a CB-ETH equivalent basically in return, and that is retail staking. What the majority of people who are watching this do is being a node operator, you're actually doing the work yourself, so that definitely falls outside the jurisdiction of the SEC. However, because of Rocket Pool being a two-sided protocol and needing rETH, people minting rETH to stake, they might fuzzy the lines a little bit. Anyway, I'm not going to say too much because it's not a topic I'm fully as informed on as I should be in order to make statements about it. However, other people started talking about it, so I'm going to focus on some of Hal Press's tweets about this because they're very interesting. So Hal says, this is not great, unsure how it all plays out, but likely leads to ETH as a security FUD. Whether I agree with it or not, most obvious implications for me are a negative ETH BTC and positive LSD tokens, as they would gain share from exchanges. So then he goes on to explain more. He says, unfortunately, I think this stuff is fairly real. I think the Kraken thing is also related, and Kraken will likely settle and agree to stop offering staking services. The SEC will try to apply that precedent to Coinbase next. This is why Brian is trying to rally support. And then he goes, thinking through this, I don't think it's a big deal broadly. Sure, exchanges might not be able to have liquid staking derivatives. Hurts Coinbase's coin token, their stock, but that's the extent of it. And that doesn't really impact crypto broadly much. The show goes on for ETH and LSDs. So that's an interesting point that I want to mention here is basically you might not be able to get your staking token from Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini, any of those services operating in the US. However, what you can do is withdraw your ETH, send it to MetaMask and swap it for rETH, right? Like that will always exist. And just as we saw last week, with the North Korean purchase of rETH, it's permissionless, it's trustless, it's decentralized. Like no one can stop it. It's unstoppable. So Hal Price goes on to say, in my opinion, the most obvious winners are Rocket Pool and Frax staking. And the reason why he says is because he says all LSD should benefit, but these will gain the most as a percentage. And that kind of goes into the Shanghai withdrawal narrative as well, like LSD narrative that's like really building up steam. So I think that's really, really interesting in how like the stars are kind of aligning for Rocket Pool. In some ways, like it might be net negative for staking in the US, but for Rocket Pool, it's definitely a strong positive for the protocol overall. And that will mean that RPL should respond very well to that as well. So I'm going to go slightly to the side and then come back to that. So Jasper says there's only one staking derivative with nodes in every time zone across nearly every continent. If the government says no, rETH survives. Decentralized from the start, built to last, don't trust. 2,000 nodes. And then Marceau says, this feels more true every day. And there's a link to an old comment from Patricio where he says, when the day that self-custody wallets are no longer permitted by the top regulators of the world and Lido validators have to demand KYC for stETH withdrawals, people will appreciate Rocket Pool more. It reminds me of the early days of Uniswap when centralized exchanges had all the volume. Eventually traders understood the value propositions of decentralized exchanges, and then there's a graph to the Uni token and the value locked in Uni protocol, and it's basically up and to the right, and just huge growth, and it even outperformed some centralized exchanges in some of those days. So okay, going back now to what Hal Press said about the winners being RPL. Well, in the very short term, RPL just went on the tear. So during intraday trading yesterday, I guess during the day yesterday, in the morning, RPL went down to $39.68 on Binance. And in the hours after the tweet and the news that came out from that, leading up to it, as people got more of an idea of what was happening, RPL went on a 25% jump from that $39 point, from $39.68 to $49 even on Binance. On Coinbase it hit $51, and the ratio did this beautiful thing where it went so close to the all-time high at 0.02921, which was a phenomenal gain. In fact, if you were on Coinbase, you could probably beat the all-time high on the ratio, but because it wasn't seen on the bot, then we won't count that as a new all-time high on the ratio. So there was like really amazing stuff going on with that. Since then, however, the price has retraced a bit. It peaked at $49. Right now it's $44.21. It's going back on a new upward motion here, so it kind of like retraced down a little bit, and it looks like it's slowly building momentum for another leg up. I'm fully in support of those legs up, so yeah. But there was a lot of really great stuff happening with the price, and trading, of course, as always, was bullish. That's the least you can say. People saying we're pumping, scared to go to sleep. The volume on decentralized exchanges of RPL went down to 42,066, so close. And yeah, people got really excited. So they were talking about what's the all-time high, and the Genux shared a screenshot of me saying 0.02965 is the only all-time high that matters. The dollar price is garbage. And then that's when the buys really started, and the price started really going up, and it was absolutely beautiful. Everyone was really happy, everyone was really excited, and yeah, there was lots of memes of the price going up and gifs that people were sharing. So it was really, really, really great. I like this comment by teases saying, I wonder how many times in last month I've been like, okay, I'm just going to sell and make a new pool and then not do it because there seemed to be so much momentum, and then be so happy when it pumps, then sad when the tiny dump, and then happy with another pump. So I like this because it kind of mirrors what's been going on with me completely, is that like I've been waiting for a pump and then wanting to start new mini pools, and then being like, oh, I can't sell RPL because there's so many bullish catalysts right now, and then I don't sell, and then my portfolio value just goes up and I'm really happy. So at some point I will sell, and I know that might sound sacrilegious right now, but I will spin up more mini pools. We'll see what happens. Okay, moving on from that. So we got this thread from Waldorf, and he says 2023 February GMC nomination thread. He says, hi all, getting a small jump start on this process as the GMC update vote has 140% quorum and 98% for. Per that vote, we'll be looking to fill 3 slots, 2 from the expanding community size and 1 from Kalurduran stepping down. If the vote flips in the next few days, I apologize for wasting effort here. I don't think he's wasting effort. This is per RPIP 10. This thread will be live for at least 5 days. Anyone can nominate anyone, including themselves. Anyone can remove themselves from consideration simply by saying so. After 5 days, there will be a "this thread is closed" comment, and the final list will then be generated. If you are nominated and don't remove yourself from consideration, please read the nominee information sharing section of RPIP 10 so you can be ready to provide your statements. It feels like yesterday that I did mine. It was really exciting. So then Kalurduran actually had a really good point that I want to read out, just so you're all aware of this. He says, as someone who has now served in the GMC during our startup phase, I wanted to give a bit of a sense of what skills I believe the community needs in the 3 people we'll be selecting. The continuing committee members, including in alphabetical order, Invis, Joe, Ken, Mentor, Object, and Whack. That's an incredible depth of knowledge about coding, smart contracts, crypto in general, and Rocket Pool. Whack might object to his inclusion on that list, but with his work on Rocket Fuel in the last 6 months, it's clear he's a rich font of information about Rocket Pool and what people have done for the protocol. Yeah, I think I know everything. As someone who lacks expertise in pretty much any of those areas, my role during the first 2 months of the committee's existence has been to be the administrator, getting things going and keeping them going. I had lots of help from the people on the committee, and I suspect I would have had even more help if I wasn't so gung-ho about doing it. That's true, he was very gung-ho. In picking the next 3 people to put on the committee, I don't think we need strong technical skills or deep knowledge of Rocket Pool, crypto, tech stuff, although it can't hurt. What I'd love to see us get is 3 people who are comfortable doing logistical stuff and keeping things moving. Some have referred to it as grunt work, which it probably is to those who don't like doing it, but I've always found it enjoyable, so the term has never really made sense to me. To give an idea of what these jobs entail, is things like putting out application calls, being the touch point for applicants who have questions, and reaching out to them if there are application issues, setting up meeting times for the committee, transferring information from applications to Google Docs, Google Sheets, gently prodding people who haven't participated in a while, drafting community announcements, etc. As the committee transitions to grant management as well as selection, there will be some need for logistics there, although the people in the committee have largely committed to sharing the load on being liaisons for the grants. So that's my plea to voters. Vote for people who are excited or at least willing to come in and do the various administrativa that help make things easier for everyone on the committee, and that yields the best outcomes for our community. Like, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate this comment from Kalurduran. I definitely echo almost all the sentiments that he says in here. The one thing that I think might serve the GMC a little bit as well is for people who have any experience in marketing, promotion, like content creation, content distribution, that kind of stuff. Because it's quite technical at the moment in terms of the composition, and that I think would be really great if we could have that part come into it. So then we started getting nominations. D2 nominated Fornax, which is fantastic nomination. Fornax is a invaluable member of the community. Kalurduran said he'd like to nominate 3 folks. 2 of them are nominated previously, and Tripix and Dondachaka, and a new one is Shifrin. Dondachaka and Shifrin have both done amazing work in helping make rocket fuel what it is. So I'm hugely supportive of those two people as well, and would probably be nominating both of them, maybe myself, before Kalodran got ahead of me. And then he gives, Cal gives his reasons for why he's nominating the way he is. And Schifrin accepts the nomination. RPL Maxi.eth recommends himself, puts himself forward for nomination, and then Dondo accepts the nomination as well. So please go into this thread, nominate people who you think would be really good on the committee, or feel free to nominate like yourself. Like, there's nothing against that. So I think it would be really great if you all took a little bit of time to work on this, because it's a huge help for the community. Like, we need all the help we can get on the GMC. So good. Okay, and then the discussion went into governance, and people were talking about some stuff with the IMC, some stuff with the GMC, how we should be going forward, and like there was just some discussion about different things that were happening with that. So definitely go and check that out as well. It's linked in the description below with the timestamp about the GMC. Okay, next we had something really interesting that happened. Object shared this post, but he says invisible symbol has asked me to post this here on his behalf, and then there's a link to a GitHub page titled apology. So let's have a look at Invis's apology. He says, I would like to start off by apologizing to everyone involved, the team for not responsibly disclosing the potential grief exploit and publicly sharing it in trading, to all node operators which are currently affected by this and cannot withdraw their RPL stake until the fix has been deployed, to Marceau for needlessly personal grief against his node. I deeply regret the aftermath of this. This all could have been prevented if I had just thought more before taking action, which I will focus on doing from now. He says, why didn't I submit a bug bounty? And in this section, he kind of talks about how he didn't think it was really a bug, in a sense. Like, he didn't think it was that big a deal because he hadn't really fully thought it through. And these were things that, the community was quite aware of, but hadn't really thought of. If I'm putting words in Invis's mouth, I'm really sorry. Go ahead and read the full apology. It's definitely worth reading. He says, why did I announce a bot bounty? Mostly in an attempt to have something to talk about and to get trading going again. I only noticed way too late that this was a grief exploit, could actually have negative consequences to people. This is why I used the exploit on Marceau. There wasn't all that much thought behind this. I thought that it was too late and that would only be a matter of time before someone used the exploit, so I might as well do a proof of concept myself. Marceau was the first name that came to mind for a multitude of reasons, but mostly because he has already withdrawn large amounts of RPL and that he was big. We also didn't have the best kind of relationship. All it took was signing 2 transactions, which took around a minute. There was no going back after that. This is why did I leave the server? It was getting very late and I didn't want to make things even worse. I suck at writing apologies, and writing one at 4 or 6 a.m. wouldn't have helped either. Leaving the server was the simplest way to stop myself from doing any of that. He says, my connection to the address that used the exploit, which is something that I shouted at people about on Rocket Fuel a few days ago. He says, talking about this address, I have no connection. I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing what Invis said. He says, I've never used Tornado Cash before, and the withdrawal was made over a year ago. All my funds are publicly visible at Invis.eth, Vault.Invis.eth, and zkdoge.eth. I do not have the means necessary to make financial gain from preventing hundreds of node operators from withdrawing. My net worth is at most 20 ETH. If my goal was simply to cause panic, there would have been better ways than talking about it in trading and taking action almost 2 days later. I'm sorry for everyone that is affected by this and needs RPL. I never intended for this to happen. So yeah, I think that was a really nice apology from Invis. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. Trading, of course, talked about it quite a lot. I like this comment from Hodger. He says, I support Invis returning via some appropriate process if that exists. He's a good guy and had a moment of reflection, which is what is valuable for him. Good parents may punish their children to help them become better people, but they don't abandon them. Same should go with good communities. Read his November 22nd GMC post if you want to know more about him prior to this event, and then there's a link to it, and if he comes back we can re-welcome him saying your ban was a skill issue. So there's an alignment statement and conflict statement, identity statement, and contribution statement. You can go read about it and check it out. Yeah, there was a lot more discussion that went on around this, but you can just go read on from Object's post, and you can get an idea of what's going on there. Okay, moving on. We got some updates from Joe about Atlas. He says, I can confirm withdrawals work. This is my first one. And then there's a link to blockscout.com. And it says here that, you know, there was some skimming going on. The gas price was 2 Gwei. And yeah, like there was some burning. And I can't quite see how much was moved. Yeah, I can't see where that detail is, but anyway, it works, so that's good. He says skimming works. I don't know about exits. And then he shared this link to a validator on the Zhejiang testnet that is showing activity, and I think it exited. Yeah, so over here the withdrawal process in epoch 1825 slot 58720. So yeah, that's getting, the tests are going along quite well. And then wait, what just happened there? Sorry about that, my link just got messed up somehow. Let me just click this again. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's better. So Joe says prepare yourselves, and then if you do the on your node in the smart node stack, if you do the code RPMBBR, well, eventually, not now because we're not on, it's not a mainnet. And it says this will allow you to begin the bond reduction process to reduce your 16 ETH for a mini pool down to 8 ETH, awarding you 8 ETH in credit and allowing you to create a second mini pool for free plus gas costs. There will be a 48-hour wait period after you start the process. After this wait period is over, you will have 48 hours to complete the process. Your node container will do this automatically unless you have it disabled, in which case you must manually run rocket pool, mini pool, reduce bond. If you don't do it during this window, your request will time out and you'll have to start over. Do you understand how the bond reduction process will work? Yes, no. It says yes. It says please select a mini pool to begin the ETH bond reduction. And then it's got all of the available mini pools. There's 8 of them here, so you can choose them by number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is really great. You don't have to do it to all of them. You can just do it to some of them, or specific ones as well. It says then there's like suggested gas prices, and it says these prices include a maximum priority fee of 2 Gwei. Please enter your max fee including the priority fee. Leave blank the default of 24 Gwei. Max fee of 24 Gwei and priority fee of 2 Gwei. Are you sure you want to begin bond reduction for 1 mini pool from 16 ETH to 8 ETH? Yes or no? And then you say yes. So the processes of it happening are all going through, and it's really exciting that LEB8s are getting going. Like this is really, really awesome, like really wonderful to see. People are starting to give feedback on information that should be on that screen and shouldn't be on that screen, but I'm so excited to see that this is all happening. And thank you, Joe, for sharing what it's going to look like on the front end. Okay, next we had this tweet that Vitalik Buterin posted, and it links to Mark Zeller. We've talked about Mark Zeller recently before. Mark says, with Aave-chan, we created an AIP to onboard rETH into version 3 if governance vibes with it, live by the end of the week, which is absolutely amazing because obviously it was passing the vote so well. So then there's a screenshot saying add rETH to Aave Ethereum version 3 pool. Let me see. And he says, want to thank BGD Labs for review, Rocket Pool, the Rocket Pool community for feedback and support in the creation of this proposal. This is an important step in the ACI LSD arc. Next is E-mode activation. So that gets really great. Marceau actually had a tweet where he explained it. Let me see if I can find that. Give me a second. He explained what it meant, like why the Aave thing is so bullish. I hope I can find it. I might not be able to. Oh yeah, here it is. Right. So there's a tweet. This is someone asked him for a summary of. Yeah, so he says, I am irrationally excited about getting Aave E-mode for rETH. That is a key part of the strategy I want to take after Shanghai. And Mao says, do you have a short TLDR for for what Aave E-mode does for rETH, and he says, here's my best summary. And this is really funny because this is a screenshot of my conversation with him in Discord direct messaging. So he was explaining it to me, so I'm just going to read it all out to you. So he says, okay, so normally for collateral assets you can get something like 70% loan against it. With E-mode you get 97%, but it requires that you borrow and lend like kind assets. So USDC to DAI, for example, or STETH to ETH. So you can basically take a 33 times leverage position on rETH ETH with E-mode, and your yield is the same staking rate minus borrow rate times leverage factor. So making up some numbers: staking rate 5%, borrow rate 2%, leverage 25. You never want to max lever. You get 5% minus 2% times 25%, 75% APR. It's a major growth catalyst for Rocket Pool since it's a popular degen trade and creates an absolute F ton of demand for the LSD. Like I could deposit 1,000 ETH, lever it up 25x and create 25,000 units of rETH. This is how STETH got so damn popular. So having this in Rocket Pool is going to be mind-bogglingly amazing. One of the questions that I was asking a few months ago is, where is the rETH demand going to come from? Well, now we have an answer. This is where the rETH demand is going to come from. It is absolutely incredible that potentially every one ETH that you put in there, in every one ETH you put into Rocket Pool protocol will potentially be able to mint up to, I can't believe I'm saying this, up to 25 rETH, which is absolutely astonishingly good. It will propel us to the stratosphere. I'm very excited about this. So yeah, let's move on. So Argent have this wallet, and it's a really cool wallet. It's really like nice to use, and it's kind of has account abstraction in there, so you don't need to manage private keys, any of that kind of stuff. So Argent released this tweet saying, introducing Index Corp diversified staked ETH index, dsETH, a new way to stake. So it's a bundle of Lido Finance's STETH, Rocket Pool's rETH, and Stakewise sETH2. It's now available on ZK Sync. So if you're using your Argent wallet on ZK Sync, you can swap your ETH to dsETH in the app immediately, which is absolutely fantastic. It's really cool to see this. And then it tells you everything you need to know about dsETH. But it's really great that, we're getting more and more ways of getting rETH into people's portfolios. dsETH adds an extra step to it, but hey, if it gets people getting rETH, then more power to them. Fantastic stuff. Okay, next we have this thing that's slightly off topic, but our community is extremely interested in it. So EthStaker had a community call with Eigenlayer. This call happened just a few hours ago, and I haven't actually listened to it yet, but I got a quick update about what happened from it from TrevorN.eth. And Trevor said the EthStaker community call number 29, it was Eigenlayer, an absolutely fantastic talk and explanation about Eigenlayer, how a person staking at home will be able to utilize it with their existing hardware. This chat filled a ton of gaps for me. Anyone interested to check it out, and went from clueless to very excited. He says they talked about home stakers running Eigenlayer on top of their existing machines. It'll be about 200 gigabytes extra footprint and a little bit more of bandwidth. He says Fizz asked some really great questions as well. So this is something that I am going to watch later, because I'm very curious about what it's going to look like and what it's going to do. But yeah, it's really great that this conversation got out there, and I think it'll be really useful for people in the Rocket Pool community to give it a listen, because there's been a lot of hints about Eigenlayer and Rocket Pool integrating when Eigenlayer launches, which would be fantastic. Okay, Dondo posted this thing called an Intern bounty, and it was in a DAO thread that I'd kind of missed. So let's go have a look at what the DAO thread is. He says it's a pre-bounty thread for bountiful discussion of bounties. It was created by Jasper. He says many ideas come up in the course of a day in trading that are often abandoned. For a brief window, the bounty submission thread was a good repository. However, it was transient in design. As such, we can have a thread for the in-between period so people can store bounty ideas and iterate on them before the official call is made. Please note the following difference between bounties and grants. Grants are intended to be applied by those who wishing to carry out the work themselves. Bounties are open-ended goals that should be met by anyone, including other than proposing party. In other words, I believe the rocket pool needs a 50-foot paper mache orange rocket for publicity purposes, and I wanted to be the one to build it. I would apply for a grant. If I thought rocket pool needed 50-foot paper mache orange rocket for publicity purposes, but I wanted it to be open to whoever built it, first claim to the reward, similar to a prize, then I'd apply for a bounty. To guide you in your application, the GMC has established the following goals and following scoring rubric, and then it goes over what the goals and rubric were and what the format of it should look like. So Jasper says an extremely simple representation of how rETH works and accrues value, suitable for complete crypto beginners, including rebasing versus non-rebasing. Rocket Pool for solo stakers, an article outlining the specific benefits joining Rocket Pool would provide, a brief article on why rETH has a premium and what the internal router does, DeFi 101 videos, how to get rETH, how to use it in Aura, how to use it in Aave, in folding, how to use it in MakerDAI for minting. Those are actually some things that I might consider taking up because I make the videos anyway. I remember doing that for when the incentives went live with Curve over a year ago. Yeah, and then Valdorf had a couple. He says total vote power quorum calculator with openly visible method, everything in, and then Dune dashboard here. And then Pateris says alternative watchtower implementation, alternative smart node implementation. Those I think really important but really big projects. And then Reflector smart node to support Gnosis. And then gives some more details. Dondachaka has a bounty idea for an internship. This application is to fund an engineering internship where the intern should be selected by established community members in the Rocket Pool Discord server and approved for hire via snapshot vote. And then it's like, what does this person do? What should they get? And he says they should get $20,000 for 3 months through the GMC. And what's the benefits, what's the goals. So there's quite a detailed submission, which I think is really great. I'm not going to say too much because I'm on the GMC, so I don't want to put too much of my own opinion in there. And then Jasper had an idea of a DAO governance coordinator, which would be really cool. Kaludran says, awesome idea. I was explicitly add some of the managerial tasks of the GMC to this role, given it's a bit light on the job list for 50,000. Make the role non-voting ex officio member of the management committees with some of the admin responsibilities. So this is like have a newsletter, assist in creation of RPIPs from ideation to completion, ensure the members are elected officials and meeting disclosure deadlines and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So this is a really, really great thread, and it's going to be really cool to see what kind of ideas people put in there. Next, we have this quick announcement from Hasu, who said the CowSwap settlement contract was exploited for $150,000, but there's no worries for traders, and nothing was stolen, nothing was missed except for fees collected by the protocol. It says CowSwap never takes custody of your funds. All trades are purely atomic. Move on. So yeah, it's all good. And then there's an official statement from CowSwap as well, that you don't need to revoke approvals if you had them. Sorry, I was supposed to mention that yesterday, but I forgot to include the link. Okay, Joe has this interesting information saying Proteus is starting to get attention from people, and I may or may not be looking into partnerships for more reliable supplies. So I think this is really, really good news, that Joe might be able to get partnerships for people providing the actual Rock 5B, which is really awesome to see. I think it just shows how great a product Joe's creating and how valuable a product like this is for the ETH staking community, especially if more people are going to be staking from home in response to some of the legal stuff happening in the US. So congratulations, Joe. I can't wait to see more news about that. Okay, Mentor had this tweet, a Discord message saying, okay, I feel like I'm going to regret this. Do you want the I was griefed poap? Did your node get sent some dust RPL to block it for 28 days? It says, DM me one of two things. The output of rocket note signed message, when the message is I am and then your Discord username. The output of signed signature from your node wallet saying I am Discord username. I will then DM you a mint link that you can claim on any wallet you like, and you can delete the DM and hope I'm not compiling a list to sell on the dark web. If you DM me any of the text or you add a paragraph or ask me I didn't get it, I will ignore your DM. If you want to be If you don't want to be doxxed, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll create a backup checkout.poap.xyz. So yeah, apply for that poap. I did it myself. Although I messaged Mentor without having read this post, so I didn't sign the message and send it to Mentor. So sorry about that, Mentor, but thank you so much for sending me the poap. I am definitely trustworthy, and 2 of my nodes actually got dusted. So one of my personal node and my marriage node as well. So anyway, thanks for that. If you want the poap, go get it. And finally, a nice little milestone was reached for Rocket Pool. We now have 12,000 mini pools that are being created. I feel like I look away and we add another 1,000 mini pools. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to finish on this really positive note. But I think in the month following Shanghai, we will have 25,000 mini pools on Rocket Pool. So 1 month after Shanghai, so it's going to put us somewhere in the middle of April, we will have 25,000 mini pools on Rocket Pool. That is my bold assertion, my bold prediction, and it's going to happen. So I'm really excited to see how everything goes. Great to all the 12,000 mini pools and like the 2,000 plus 2,100, I think now, node operators. Congratulations to everyone. Lovely milestone. But let's keep growing. Let's keep building. And I can't wait to see other great things that are going to happen. So thank you all for watching and listening. That's the end of today's episode, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.